Welcome back, Village, to another episode of Jedi Learning with Baba Ken 2. And today we are going to discuss this week's education update. Now, the first thing that's happening that people need to be aware of is the first 100 days of Biden's plan to send people back to school. Now, if you've seen any of our previous videos, especially the one regarding going back to school and are we going to be back in school in the fall, you know that most schools have already said they're going to be closed throughout the rest of the year. So no need to worry about them. But there are some other schools that are kind of teetering on whether they should or whether they should not reopen. And the problem is parents, obviously, who have to go to work, who have other things to do, and who are having marital problems and family problems because they're not used to having to work at home with their children running around and having to tend to them and teach them as well. So parents are pushing for the students to go back to school. While on the other hand, teachers are saying, not so fast. You're not about to send me back on the front line with all these kids sneezing and coughing and rubbing their mouth and taking masks off and getting all close to each other up in the hallways and then trying to get up on me. It's not happening. So what you see is, as a result of that, is in Chicago, the teachers have actually said, you know what, we're just not going to show up to work, even though they've been ordered to do so. And even further than that, we are ready to go on strike. So people are really starting to push the envelope now, and it's really getting hectic between going back to school and staying at home. So what do I predict is going to happen as a result of this? That most people will stay on in-home learning until fall resumes. That's when everything can go ahead and reset nice and cleanly, and you don't have to worry about all this pushback from X, Y, and Z. You have time to get your different PPE set up and protection and whatever type of situation you want to develop in order to keep everybody protected. But at least that gives you some time, and at least that gives everybody a date to go ahead and calm down and be able to make a good decision. Yes, there is a learning loss, and I wouldn't even call it a learning loss. I would call it a schooling loss, which is actually good for some people because, once again, school, the way public school is designed now, is set up to lock down your consciousness in any form of dissent. So if what you're getting in the school system right now is no good, then what's the rush to go back? Yes, it might be difficult, but you might have to start looking at some alternatives, and that is the wave of the future. South Carolina, not South Carolina, but New Jersey is also having a similar problem where they're attempting to send their students back to school, and parents are saying, yeah, they need to go, while teachers are saying, absolutely not. It's not happening. So what should you do if you are caught in the middle of this? Go get you some tutoring for your students, for your children, for your adult. If you are an adult, go take some online classes. Find out the tools that are out there that you can learn with for free, that you don't have to worry about sending anybody anywhere, influencing them with any type of values that you may not agree with. Google University, YouTube University, Wikipedia, may not be the most credible sources, but you shouldn't take anything on face value from any source. You should always be doing further research. So if you cross-reference with other websites and information, you will not only teach the learner how or what the information is, but you also teach them how to research and identify good from bad information. Okay? So that was the first thing we wanted to discuss. The second thing we wanted to discuss today is the fact that gaming is the new school. Now, when I say gaming is the new school, I mean organized esports, where you're playing games like Rocket League, where you're playing games like League of Legends. You could even play NBA 2K21. You could even play Roblox. You could even play Minecraft. All of these games are now being offered scholarships to students to come to various universities and participate in esports games. And these esports teams make a lot of money, especially if they get big sponsors. If we look at the viewership, there are more people now watching streaming than any of the other streaming services combined. If you watch Twitch and you understand that the children like to watch others, actually people like to watch other people play video games, you'll understand that this is going to be the wave. Also, more people have watched the last League of Legends championship than were watching that year's Super Bowl and NBA championship. Game 6 of the NBA championship. So sports are eventually going to be replaced by esports if this trend continues. What does this have to do with you in schooling? Well, by placing your learner on an esports team, or at least getting them involved, they have an easy way into the careers of the future. Coding, software development, team management, entrepreneurship, podcasting, content design. All of these careers that didn't even exist 5 to 10 years ago, people are now heavily seeking people to fill those positions. And a great way to get in that is to start off with gaming. So if you want to find an easy way to learn the skills of tomorrow in a fun and easy way that people do not give a lot of pushback. A lot of children won't give a lot of pushback when it comes to video games, but when you tell them to sit down and write these timetables, you might get some paper stone on the floor. So introduction to esports might be your best bet if you're looking for some alternatives and you still want to keep up the motivation and you still want to keep up the learning during this schooling break. Okay. The last thing I want to hit on is something I had to think long and hard about, and I might still do its own segment because I've been talking a lot about Disney lately, but it seems that Disney keeps putting itself in a position to get discussed and to get broken down. Because this time we have to break down Disney's most recent decision to get rid of Splash Mountain and the Jungle Cruise. Now, while I applaud those moves, it seems very, very fishy to me, the timing of all this. Well, we just saw Apple wanting to be your Uncle Reggie, which they funneled tons of money into the various black communities to help them with coding and software development and entrepreneurship. You almost see the same thing going on with Disneyland, and I'm starting to wonder if the coronavirus itself was to reset everything for black people and give them their reparations. Because you see tons of Fortune 500 companies pouring money into the black communities and also changing the face of anything that they thought was racist or on the fence. So with Disney removing Splash Mountain, which is based on a movie called Song of the South, they are getting rid of their long history and ties to slavery. If anybody has been on Splash Mountain, they know all the characters in there, his name is Brotha. Whether it's Brother Rabbit, Brother Fox, whether it's Brother Bear, Brother Alligator. It takes place down south, so everybody's a brother. Obviously the black people. But you got some problematic scenes in there, such as a tar baby scene. Okay, we know what a tar baby is. You also have problematic depictions of slavery and being on the porch out in the South and just all types of stereotypical activity going on in that particular ride. And a lot of people have pushed back against it. As a matter of fact, it's so bad, Disney said it would never release it on home video. Even more recently, Disney said they're not going to release it to Disney Plus either. So Splash Mountain is about to get a makeover. And guess what they're going to replace Splash Mountain with? So they said, we have one black ride is not enough. Let me get the newest or one of the newest black movies and then just replace it with that. So they're going to get Princess and the Frog and put Princess Tiana over there where Splash Mountain and Brother Rabbit and them used to be. As if that's somehow going to make everything better. We're not going to decode Princess and the Frog right now, but that has its own problems. The main one I had was that the sister couldn't find a nice brother to get married to. We talking about Brother Rabbit, Brother Gator. How come Princess Tiana couldn't find a king or at least a brother to get married to? She had to marry in, I don't know if he was Middle Eastern or if he was Western Asian. I'm not sure. But the point is, he wasn't a brother. Not only did they remove that, but they also are going to remove the Jungle Cruise. Now, the Jungle Cruise is being removed strategically as well because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is going to star in a movie called The Jungle Cruise for Disney that's coming out in June of this year. So they got to clean that whole thing up before that drops because they don't want any pushback after the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all the other brothers and sisters they lost their lives in protest. So what are they going to do? Well, first of all, you need to know a little bit of history about The Jungle Cruise. It's based off a movie called The African Queen, as well as The African Lion. It was a concept that was combining two African movies. So they go throughout Asia, they go throughout Africa on these different river cruises, and they look at the sceneries there. The problem is, once again, stereotypical depictions of black people at that time. So when you get to the headhunter portion of it, you see people running around with spears, hoo ha ha, and boiling people and acting like cannibals. While that may be the case in some areas, it is definitely not representative of all black people or all Africans, period. And that's problematic. They also, if that wasn't enough, go into various areas where they have deities there. One of them is called the Temple of the Hidden Eye. Now, what do you think that represents? Eye of Haru, okay. Golden Eye Temple down there in Jamaica. That might be another segment that we do, but look up the Golden Eye House in Jamaica if you ever get a chance in Port Antonio. But you also have a shrine to the monkey god Hanuman out of Asia. You also have a shrine to Ganesha, the opener of the way, out of India. As a matter of fact, I'm right around the corner from a Ganesha high school. But you have all of these deities and these shrines being depicted as if there's some type of devil worshiping or some type of witchcraftery is what they would put it. But that is far from the case. These are ancient sciences and philosophical principles and psychological understandings of the people and how they express their culture. And they're not to be made fun at. And yes, Disney is doing the right thing by removing all of this shenanigans. But at the same time, you could have done that a long time ago. The timing of you doing it now makes it seem fishy. So, because so many young people and so many adults, matter of fact, love to go to Disney, that could be one of the most educational places on the planet. Not that it's giving you the right type of education, but you learn about cultures when you get there. What type of information you learn about those cultures, it really depends on what Disney decides to put out there, as well as your frame of reference. But I just gave you a little tidbit to chew on so you can make some decisions on how you want to proceed with the Splash Mountain and the Jungle Cruise, if that's something that you want to go ahead and support. So, we've talked about teachers saying, guess what, I'm done teaching. They didn't quit. What are you going to do now? I'll tell you what to do. Hit us up at Jedi Learning and we will hook you up. Online, in person, we will make sure you get the one-on-one attention, whether it's online or in person, that your learner needs. No age gaps, no skill gaps. It doesn't matter. Anybody can contact us to make sure you get the education you can get, because we know anybody can learn to learn. Also, gaming, esports, that's the new school. If you want to learn about coding, if you want to learn about software development, you know about podcasting, video production, becoming a content designer or creator, get involved in esports. There's so many things you can do. I can't even list them all off the top of my head right now. But that's a new school, and it's, once again, we always talk about how things have to be fun, and that's the best way to learn them. Esports is fun, and it's very, very educational. And last but not least, we had to dig into Disney's butt again because they have been acting a fool over these last 2 weeks. Dropping Soul, and now dropping the Jungle Cruise and Splash Mountain. So, we break down all the science on that, why they have made the decisions that they have made to get rid of both of those rides and replace them with something a little less offensive. You make the decision based on the information you just got on whether you want to continue to support it or not. But this has been another episode of Jedi Learning with Babakin 2, and we hope to see you in the very near future, resurrecting communities to superior education. Peace.